Welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, I am a union rep. I've been so for over 30 years, a regional and a national negotiator, and I've been a documents analyst in the European Union for 3 years. Now to this episode. I was watching Le Fabrique de Maison, I think it's pronounced. It is a French documentary, and when I say documentary, I am very liberal with that word, and it's about the Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp trial in Virginia. And I was going through French press looking for some criticism of this documentary, and let me just say this: if you think Taylor Lorenz and Cat Dembarge was out of it, ooh, this is way worse. Way worse. Now, I wish I could put up pictures of these articles and translations of these articles, but French press are notoriously copyright strikers, and I am in Europe, and even though I don't believe any of their copyright strikes will hold, they can do a lot of damage meanwhile. So I will leave link to the translated news articles in the below, so you can go in and read it for yourself. But until then, I will read from it instead. This is from French Radio France. This documentary by Cécile Delarue looks back on the Oscar-winning actor's defamation lawsuit against his ex-girlfriend who accused him of domestic violence. It sheds new light on this episode presented as the trial of Me Too. You can see where this is headed. And which unleashed unprecedented misogynistic hatred on social networks. It doesn't get better. Through a precise investigation, the journalists demonstrate how masculinist groups organized themselves online. My guess is they have seen Christopher Boosie's shit research. Organized themselves online for several weeks to flood the internet with false information and denigrate Amber Heard. The mainstream media did little to cover this affair, which was mistakenly seen as people news, and did not contradict the story of a witchy and lying Amber Heard. Mainstream media covered this a lot, and the narrative was not to contradict witchy and lying Amber Heard. They were most, if not all, major news operations in the English-speaking world was fully on the side of Amber Heard. So, yeah, you can see where this is going. Nor the reality of mass support for Johnny Depp, artificially created by robots. Here we go. Christopher Boosie going French. The film shows us how digital has become the main weapon of the anti-Me Too backlash. Operated by a mercenary army that makes online hate a lucrative business. This is the narrative this documentary and Radio France is promoting. Anyone who watched the Virginia trial and came to the same conclusion the jury did, we are a mercenary army that makes online hate a lucrative business. Those mercenaries also took advantage of the absence of moderation and dangerous algorithms, which radicalize an army of young masculinists ready to harass in packs in a manosphere where women are threats and men are poor victims who must defend it. Men who take action and commit massacres against women. Okay, I'm not reading more from this heap of garbage. So, what the documentaries aim? Well, first of all, they probably don't think that English speakers will watch this documentary, read the articles, and therefore they pack as much lies as possible, presenting it as facts to a French audience. And reporters like French newsletters like Radio France are helping. Let's go into another article. This is from Femin Actu. Never heard of that. And here we read. In the spring of 2022, this media frenzy was accompanied by unprecedented online hate and smear campaign against Amber Heard. Here we go again. Behind the usual social media taunts is actually a campaign orchestrated by groups of angry men who for years have made hatred against women their priority. The masculinists. Men who see the Me Too movement as a threat and believe that feminism puts our societies in danger. For them, the trial is an unexpected opportunity to challenge women's voices and sway public opinion. Among these masculinists, men with very different profile, some frustrated and withdrawn, others more virile, convinced of being superior to women. Men sometimes ready to legitimize via that word. False information, propaganda, digital raids, the online harassment orchestrated by these men has only one goal: to silence women. This is such a heap of freaking garbage. No, I will sell for... There are numerous articles like this, based on a documentary which is, well, lies, I'm quoting lies, because what they do in this documentary is carefully cutting out parts that supports their narrative, removing anything that speaks against them. Nothing about the forged evidence, no criticism of her testimony at all. It is told as absolute truth. And if you watched the trial, actually watched it, you know some of the things Amber Heard testified to is physically impossible. And that is what happens when somebody lies. Not even getting the story broader in hopes to be believed, but getting a story together from almost movie-like situations, because since she doesn't know what it is to be a victim of abuse, that's all she has to rely on. And this French documentary and French press is eating it up and are going way beyond what any English-speaking newspaper have ever done. They should be ashamed of this. The Me Too movement was and is an important movement. Sadly, some people are using the Me Too movement to enhance themselves. Amber Heard is one of these people. What she didn't know was that Johnny would fight back, and that a very large part of LawTube would sit down, watch the trial and analyze it. And I believe it's almost unison from LawTubers who comes from the prosecutor side to defender's side, lawyers. And the verdict in the Virginia trial was clear and consistent. But some people just can't comprehend this. Instead, they are doing what Amber Heard does. They lie. And when someone tries to expose those lies, they double down on these lies. Everything to avoid responsibility. It's unbelievable. And sadly, it seems like, in France at least, it's working. They now believe what this documentary says, what the news article says. Now, I haven't checked YouTube for French tubers reacting to this. I hope some people who do speak French, who are French, who can criticize this, does so. Because even if I can reach a small number of people, other LawTubers can reach larger amounts of people, other YouTubers can reach an even larger. If we are English speakers, few, if any, will reach the French population. So please, if you are a French YouTuber and you have seen through this pack of lies, talk about it. We need your voice in France now. Well, that's it for me for today. You all have a nice day, and I'll talk to you later.